The stars shimmered against the void of space as the UEF horizon glided toward the massive ring-shaped station. This was humanity's big moment. After centuries of looking up at the stars and wondering, they were about to meet their galactic neighbors. Captain John Miller stood on the bridge, his hands clasped behind his back. His blue uniform was crisp and spotless for the occasion. 20 years in Earth's space forces had prepared him for many things, but not for this. No one could truly be ready to be the first human to speak with aliens face to face. Nervous, Captain? Olivia Wright asked, adjusting the collar of her science officer uniform. Her red hair was pulled back tightly, and her green eyes studied the alien station ahead. Wouldn't be human if I wasn't, Miller replied with a small smile. How about you? I've been studying their transmissions for months, she said. But knowing about someone and meeting them are very different things. Alan Garcia, the communications specialist, spoke up from his station. Sir, we're receiving coordinates for docking. The universal translator is working on their protocols. Miller nodded. Take us in slow. Let's not make any sudden moves that might spook our new friends. What the humans didn't know was that they were being watched by more than just the Conclave station. Hidden behind the moon of a nearby gas giant, 3 warships waited. Their hulls were black with red markings, shaped like arrowheads. Inside the lead vessel, Admiral Victhar of the Saltorian Empire stared at the human ship with his 4 eyes narrowed. Look at it, he said to his officers. Simple design, minimal weapons, yet their world broadcasts are filled with war and conflict. The Admiral's scaled skin rippled with disgust. We've studied their history. These humans fight each other constantly. Imagine what they would do to us if given the chance. His second-in-command, a female Saltorian named Shezra, looked uncertain. The Conclave voted to welcome them. We should respect that decision. Victhar turned all 4 eyes on her. The Conclave is naive. They don't understand the danger. Humans advanced from primitive flight to space travel in less than a century. Their rate of technological development is unnatural. They are a threat. On board the Horizon, Miller felt a sense of pride as Earth's flag was displayed on the main screen alongside images of humanity's greatest achievements: art, music, scientific breakthroughs. These were the things they had chosen to share with the galactic community. Final approach, Captain, the pilot said. We'll dock in 5 minutes. All crew to first contact stations, Miller ordered. Let's make Earth proud today. In the Saltorian vessel, Victhar gave the order. Move into position. Target their engines first, then communications. Sir, Shezra protested, this is an act of war against an unknown species. The Conclave will thank us when they learn what we've saved them from. Victhar cut her off. Execute the attack. The 3 Saltorian ships emerged from hiding, their weapons charging. On the horizon, alarms suddenly blared. Captain, 3 vessels approaching fast, Garcia shouted, their weapons hot. Miller's training kicked in. Shields up. Evasive maneuvers. Sir, our shields aren't rated for military engagement. The tactical officer reminded him. Open a channel, Miller ordered. All frequencies. This is Captain John Miller of the Earth vessel Horizon. We come in peace. Please respond. The only response was a series of energy beams that sliced through the Horizon's hull. The bridge shook violently as systems failed across the ship. Get to the escape pods, Miller shouted as smoke filled the bridge. Abandon ship. In the chaos, only 1 pod successfully launched. Inside, Lieutenant Sam Reeves, a junior officer from engineering, watched in horror as the Horizon broke apart. His pod systems were damaged, sending it tumbling away from the battlefield. A small trader vessel, piloted by a Pelleran named Skik, witnessed the attack from a distance. The Pelleran, a peaceful species with 6 limbs and silver skin, was shocked by what he saw. When his sensors detected the human escape pod, he made a decision that would change galactic history. He would rescue the human and tell the truth about what happened here. On Earth, the Horizon's final automated transmission arrived, under attack by unknown forces, not the Conclave. Remember us. The first contact had failed. The first shot had been fired, and humanity would not forget. 3 years passed since the destruction of the UEF Horizon. The galaxy had moved on, but Earth had not forgotten. In a hidden shipyard orbiting Jupiter, humanity had been busy. The UEF Vengeance floated silently in the darkness of space. Its black hull absorbed light rather than reflected it. At nearly twice the size of any previous human vessel, it represented everything humanity had learned about war over its bloody history, enhanced by reverse-engineered alien technology salvaged from crashed scout ships. Commander Eric Boyd stood on the bridge, looking at the stars through the main view screen. His face was hard, with a scar running down his left cheek from the wars on Earth. Those conflicts now seemed small compared to what humanity faced. Final systems check complete, Lieutenant Commander Lisa Carter reported. She was tall with short blonde hair and eyes that had seen too much combat. Athena is fully online and integrated with all ship functions. A soft blue light pulsed on the command console. "Good morning, Commander Boyd," said a calm female voice. "All systems are operating at optimal capacity. The ship is ready." Boyd nodded. Athena was more than just a ship. She represented the pinnacle of human artificial intelligence, capable of running the massive warship with minimal human oversight if needed. "Thank you, Athena," Boyd said. "Set course for the Proxima Centauri jump point. We'll make our first fold from there." "Course set, Commander," Athena replied. "Estimated time to arrival: 6 hours." Lisa stepped closer to Boyd, lowering her voice. "Are you sure about this, Eric? Once we cross into conclave space, there's no going back." Boyd's eyes remained fixed on the stars. "They fired first, Lisa. 327 people died on the horizon. Earth sent diplomats, and they were murdered." "I know," she said, "but we're not bringing those people back. And we're about to announce humanity's presence to the galaxy in a way that can't be ignored." Boyd finally turned to face her. "The Saltorians told the Conclave we attacked them, that we're dangerous warmongers who can't be trusted. Maybe it's time we showed them what a real human warship looks like." Across the galaxy, on an outlying Saltorian mining station, alarms suddenly blared. The station commander rushed to the control room, his 4 eyes wide with panic. "Report," he demanded. "Unknown ship detected at the edge of our sensor range," a technician said. "It's huge, nothing like we've ever seen before." "Show me," the commander ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing only stars and the distant mining drones. "I don't see anything," the commander said. "It's there, sir," the technician insisted. "Our sensors detect it, but visual confirmation is impossible. It's absorbing our scanning beams." On the Vengeance, Boyd watched the alien station grow larger on the screen. "They've detected us." "Good. Weapons status." "Gravity lance charged and ready," the weapons officer replied. "Target locked." Boyd took a deep breath. This is it. The moment we tell the galaxy that humanity is not to be trifled with. "Athena, record this for transmission to Earth Command." "Recording, Commander," the AI confirmed. Boyd stood straighter. "This is Commander Eric Boyd of the United Earth Federation warship Vengeance. 3 years ago, you destroyed our diplomatic vessel without provocation. Today we answer." He paused. Then, "Fire." The Vengeance's main weapon discharged, sending a concentrated beam of artificially generated gravitational force at the mining station. The beam didn't destroy the station. It did something worse. It selectively crushed key structural points, causing a catastrophic but non-explosive collapse. As the station crumbled, Boyd gave his next order. "Athena, find me 1 life sign. 1 survivor. We need a messenger." Minutes later, a single Saltorian escape pod was allowed to flee. Inside was a terrified junior officer who would carry Boyd's message back to his people. "You fired first." As the Vengeance vanished from the system, News of the attack spread quickly through conclave space. For the first time in centuries, the dominant species of the galaxy felt something they had forgotten: fear. The great chamber of the Galactic Conclave buzzed with fearful voices. Representatives from 12 species sat around a massive circular table, their bodyguards lining the walls. Holographic displays showed the damaged Saltorian mining station from every angle. "This attack cannot go unanswered," shouted the Saltorian representative, his scales flaring red with anger. "The humans have declared war on the entire conclave." A small blue-skinned Pellerin stood up. "Let us remember who started this conflict," she said calmly. "Our traders witnessed the unprovoked destruction of the human diplomatic vessel 3 years ago." "Lies," the Saltorian hissed. "The humans fired first." The Tellurian representative, a tall being with 4 arms and silver eyes, spoke next. "Our analysis of the human warship is troubling. Its technology surpasses our understanding in several key areas. The weapon used was not an energy beam or projectile, but a focused gravitational distortion." Silence fell across the chamber as the implications sank in. The humans were not just fighting back. They were doing so with technology the Conclave had never seen before. "We must unite our fleets," the Saltorian insisted. "Crush this human threat before they can build more of these vessels." The Pellerin shook her head. "We will not join an unjust war. The humans have attacked only Saltorian military targets, despite having been wronged first." One by one, the representatives took sides, until the conclave was clearly divided. Meanwhile, on Earth, Fleet Admiral Diane Powell stood before the United Earth Federation Council. Large windows showed the rebuilt skyline of New Geneva, humanity's capital since the old wars. "The Vengeance has completed its 3rd successful operation," Powell reported, her gray hair cut short above her uniform collar. "As planned, we've targeted only military installations, no civilian casualties." The council leader, an older man named Richard Cole, nodded. "And the message is being received?" "Yes, sir. Our intelligence suggests the conclave is in disarray. The Saltorians claimed we were warmongers, but our precision strikes are making other species question that narrative." Powell touched a control panel, and a hologram appeared showing 5 massive ships under construction. "The Vengeance is just the beginning. The Retribution will be ready next month, followed by Judgment, Justice, and Reckoning by year's end." A council member frowned. "Such militant names." "Names that reflect our resolve," Powell replied firmly. "We tried diplomacy. It failed." In a quiet corner of the chamber sat Lieutenant Sam Reeves. His face was scared from burns suffered during his escape from the horizon. For 3 years, he had been Earth's only witness to the truth of what happened during first contact. "Lieutenant Reeves," Powell said, "please share what you learned during your time with the Pellerin traders." Reeves stood slowly. "The conclave isn't the united body that Saltorians portrayed it as. There are deep divisions, ancient rivalries. Many of the smaller species resent Saltorian military dominance, but have been powerless to challenge it. Our actions are giving them courage to speak out." Across the galaxy, a conclave scout ship floated silently, observing the aftermath of the Vengeance's latest attack on Saltorian weapons depot. The captain, a Vexian with insect-like features, carefully recorded everything their sensors could detect. "The weapon's energy signature is unlike anything in our database," the science officer reported. "And their hull, it seems to absorb our scanning beams rather than reflect them." "What about power output?" the captain asked. The science officer's compound eyes widened. "Based on our readings, their power core operates at efficiency levels we believe theoretically impossible." Back on the Vengeance, Commander Boyd received a new report from Athena. "Commander, I've detected a conclave scout vessel observing us. Their scans are more sophisticated than the Saltorian systems." Boyd smiled slightly. "Let them look, Athena. It's time the whole conclave understood what they're dealing with. Set course for the next target." As the massive human warship vanished into the darkness, The message spread through the stars. Humanity had been wronged, and now they were showing the galaxy exactly why they should have been left in peace. The space station, known as Neutral Point, floated in the empty region between two spiral arms of the galaxy. Built centuries ago by traders, it served as a meeting place where enemies could talk without fear. Inside one of its secure rooms, a historic meeting was taking place. Ambassador Kelly Banks sat across from 3 Tellurian representatives. She wore a simple blue uniform with Earth's new emblem, a planet with a sword and olive branch. Her brown hair was tied back, and her eyes studied the aliens carefully. The Tellurians were tall, with 4 arms and silver eyes that reflected light like mirrors. Their skin had a metallic sheen to it. They were known for their balanced approach to galactic politics. "We appreciate this chance to speak directly," said the lead Tellurian, who called himself First Voice. Many in the conclave believed humans were myth or legend until recently. Banks nodded. "We were content to develop in our own corner of space until the Saltorian attack. An unfortunate action not supported by the full conclave," Second Voice said quickly. "Many of us opposed Admiral V'Thar's decision, but we were not consulted." Banks leaned forward. "Yet the official conclave position still supports the Saltorian lies about who fired first." The Tellurians exchanged glances. Third Voice spoke softly. "The Saltorians have been the dominant military power for over 300 years. Many species fear opposing them openly." "Fear is a powerful motivator," Banks agreed. "But so is the opportunity to break free from oppression." Far across the galaxy, the UEF Vengeance dropped out of stealth mode near a major Saltorian naval base. This time, it was not alone. The UEF Retribution, slightly larger and with more advanced weapons, materialized beside it. Captain Frank Martinez stood on the Retribution's bridge. He was shorter than Boyd, but just as determined. "All systems ready, Commander Boyd. Weapons locked on target." "On the Vengeance," Boyd nodded. "Proceed as planned. Military targets only. Minimal casualties." The 2 human warships moved in perfect coordination. The Vengeance's gravity weapons disabled the base's defenses, while the Retribution's energy beams precisely cut through key structures. Within minutes, the most powerful Zaltorian base in the sector was reduced to a floating collection of disabled sections. "Send the message," Boyd ordered. Every communication device in the base received the same video. It showed the original attack on the horizon from multiple angles, footage recovered from the ship's black box. It ended with a simple statement: "The galaxy now knows the truth." On the Saltorian homeworld, Admiral V'Thar faced the Imperial Council. His once proud posture was now bent with stress. "How can 2 vessels cause so much damage?" demanded the Emperor, his crown of spines quivering with rage. "Their technology exceeds our understanding," V'Thar admitted. "Their hulls absorb our sensors, their weapons manipulate gravity itself, and their precision suggests artificial intelligence beyond anything we possess. And now, the Pellerin Collective and 3 minor species have withdrawn from our defense pact," the Minister of Alliances added. "They claim new evidence proves the humans were attacked first." The Emperor's 4 eyes narrowed. "Evidence you assured me did not exist, Admiral." V'Thar's scales paled. "I took necessary precautions for the safety of our empire. Your precautions have brought us to the brink of war with a species whose capabilities we clearly underestimated," the Emperor hissed. Back at Neutral Point, Ambassador Banks was concluding her meeting with the Tellurians. "Our terms are simple," she said. "The Conclave acknowledges the truth about first contact. The Saltorians responsible face justice, and Earth receives a seat on the Conclave Council." First Voice considered this. "The last demand will be most difficult. No new species has joined the Council in 5 centuries." Banks smiled thinly. "Then perhaps it's time for change. The alternative is continued military action until justice is served." As she spoke, her communication device chimed. The Retribution had successfully completed its mission. Now 5 more Exaltorian military installations lay disabled. The Tellurians saw her smile and understood. Humans weren't just fighting back. They were winning. Admiral Vic Thayer stood in a secret chamber deep beneath the Exaltorian Imperial Palace. His once perfect uniform was wrinkled, his scales dulled by stress. Before him stood a massive device, ancient and terrible. "The stellar extinguisher has not been used in 10,000 years, said the chief scientist, his voice trembling. "The Conclave banned this weapon after the 7th Galactic War." "The Conclave," Vic Thayer spat the word. "They abandon us while humans destroy everything we've built. The Emperor has authorized its use." The scientist hesitated. "Sir, this will kill billions. The human colony system of Proxima Centauri has 5 inhabited planets." Vic Thayer's 4 eyes narrowed. "When the star explodes, the humans will learn the cost of challenging us. Prepare the device for transport." On Earth, in the UEF headquarters, alarms suddenly blared. Fleet Admiral Powell rushed into the command center where technicians worked frantically at their stations. "What's happening?" she demanded. "We've detected an unusual energy signature moving through Saltorian space," a technician explained. "Our deep space monitors recognize it from ancient records we recovered from their databases. It's a stellar extinguisher." Powell's face paled. "They're going to collapse a star. Which system are they targeting?" The analysis took only seconds. "Trajectory suggests Proxima Centauri, Admiral. Over 4 billion human colonists live there." Powell slammed her fist on the console. "Alert the Vengeance and Retribution. How long until the device reaches Proxima?" 14 hours at their current speed. "And our nearest ships?" "The Vengeance and Retribution are 18 hours away at maximum conventional speed." Powell closed her eyes briefly. "The full drive. It's our only option." The technician looked alarmed. "Admiral, it's only been tested in simulations. The risk to both ships is necessary," Powell finished firmly. "Send the order." In deep space, Commander Boyd received the emergency transmission on the Vengeance's bridge. Lieutenant Commander Carter read the message twice to be sure. "They want us to use the full drive. It could tear the ship apart." Boyd's face was grim. 4 billion lives, Lisa. We don't have a choice." On the Retribution, Captain Martinez received the same orders. The 2 commanders spoke briefly via secure channel. "See you at Proxima, Eric," Martinez said. "One way or another." Boyd nodded. "Godspeed, Frank." Both commanders turned to their crews. Boyd addressed his first. "All hands, prepare for full drive activation. This is not a drill. We are jumping directly to Proxima Centauri to intercept Exaltorian doomsday weapon." The tension on the bridge was thick enough to cut. The full drive was theoretical technology, compressing space to allow instant travel between 2 points. If it worked, they would arrive in seconds. If it failed, the ships would be destroyed. "Athena," Boyd said to the ship's AI, "initiate full drive sequence." "Full drive sequence initiated," Athena replied calmly. "Commander, I calculate a 57% chance of successful transit." Boyd managed a small smile. "Better odds than I expected." The massive human warships began to glow with energy. Space itself bent around them, twisting in ways that defied normal physics. Then, with a flash of light, both vessels vanished. In the Proxima Centauri system, the Exaltorian weapon ship approached the star. Its crew worked carefully to prepare the ancient device. The captain counted down the minutes until they would be in firing position. Suddenly, alarms blared across the ship. "2 massive vessels have appeared," shouted a sensor operator. "They're right on top of us." The Vengeance and Retribution had arrived, their hulls crackling with residual energy from the full transit. Both ships had survived, though not without damage. Panels were torn from their hulls, and systems flickered across both vessels. But they had made it, and they had arrived just in time. "Target the weapon ship," Boyd commanded, his voice steady despite the pain from injuries sustained during the jump. "Disable it." no matter the cost. What followed would become legend across the galaxy. The battle above Proxima Centauri lasted less than 5 minutes. It was not a battle so much as a demonstration of overwhelming power. The Vengeance moved with impossible speed despite its size. Athena, the ship's AI, took control of 27 Saltorian support vessels simultaneously, shutting down their systems through digital pathways the aliens didn't even know existed. The ships drifted, powerless and harmless. The Retribution focused on the main weapon ship. Captain Martinez targeted its engines first, using precise energy beams to disable rather than destroy. The massive stellar extinguisher device, already glowing with deadly energy, was carefully separated from its housing by the Retribution's gravity manipulators. Extraction complete, Martinez reported to Boyd. The weapon is contained in our force field. The Saltorian captain stared in shock as his mighty weapon was simply plucked from his ship. He had been told humans were primitive. He had been told they were easy prey. What he saw now defied everything he had been taught. In the observation dome of the nearest human colony world, 4 billion people watched as the sky lit up with the brief battle. Many cried with relief when news spread that Earth had sent defenders just in time. 2 days later, the conclave chamber was filled beyond capacity. Representatives from every member species crowded the room, with many more watching via holographic projections. At the center of the chamber stood Captain Eric Boyd, still bearing injuries from the full drive jump. He wore his formal UEF uniform and stood tall despite his pain. Beside him was Lieutenant Sam Reeves, the lone survivor of the Horizon, and Ambassador Kelly Banks. They had come to address the conclave directly. Members of the Galactic Conclave, Boyd began, his voice carrying through the silent chamber. 3 years ago, your leading military power attacked and destroyed an unarmed Earth vessel on a diplomatic mission. That action began a conflict none of us wanted. He activated a holographic display showing footage from the Horizon's black box, the unprovoked Saltorian attack, the destruction of Earth's ship, the final distress call. This evidence is undeniable, Boyd continued. Admiral Victor lied to you all. He claimed we fired first. He claimed humans were warmongers who could not be trusted. And then, when his lies began to unravel, he attempted to use a banned weapon of mass destruction against a civilian population of 4 billion. Murmurs of shock rippled through the chamber, especially from species who had not yet heard about the stellar extinguisher. The Saltorian representative rose to object, but the conclave elder, an ancient Vexian with pale insect features, silenced him with a gesture. The evidence is clear, the elder said. The recent actions of the Saltorian Empire violate our most sacred laws. This body must acknowledge its failure to properly investigate the first contact incident. Ambassador Banks stepped forward. Earth does not seek revenge. We seek justice and recognition. Despite possessing the military power to destroy our attackers, we have shown restraint, targeting only military installations and minimizing casualties. Lieutenant Reeves spoke next, his scared face a reminder of what had happened. I watched my crewmates die without understanding why. Earth deserves the truth to be officially recognized. The conclave elder nodded slowly. The truth shall be recorded. The attack on your vessel was unprovoked. Admiral Victor will face our justice. Boyd looked around the chamber. There is one more matter. Earth requests full membership in the conclave, including a seat on the Security Council. This caused an uproar. No new species have been granted such status in centuries. The Tellurian representative stood up. I support this request, he said clearly. The humans have demonstrated not only technological superiority, but ethical restraint. They could have destroyed entire Saltorian worlds in retaliation. Instead, they sought justice through targeted action. One by one, representatives of other species stood to indicate their support. The Pelleran, the Vexian, even some former Saltorian allies. The elder looked surprised by the show of support. It seems the galaxy is changing. perhaps faster than some of us are comfortable with. Boyd smiled slightly. Change can be difficult, but sometimes necessary. As the voting began, the humans knew they had already won. 1 year later, the galaxy was a different place. The sleek diplomatic vessel HFY Horizon II glided through space, its hull gleaming with Earth's new emblem, a planet with a sword and olive branch crossed behind it. Unlike its predecessor, this ship carried defensive systems that matched the best in the galaxy. On the bridge stood Captain Sam Reeves, now fully recovered from his injuries and promoted to command. His uniform bore the marks of both Earth and the Galactic Conclave, the first human to carry both. "Captain, we're receiving the welcome message from New Harmony," said his communications officer, a young woman named Beth Collins. Reeves nodded. "Put it on screen." The main display showed a beautiful blue-green planet where representatives from 6 former Xaltorian subject worlds had gathered to form a new alliance under Earth's protection. "This is our 4th diplomatic mission this month," said First Officer Paul Hayes, standing beside Reeves. "The requests keep coming in." Hayes wasn't the only non-human on the bridge. A Pelleran science officer worked at a nearby station, while a Tellurian security chief stood by the door. The Horizon II was a symbol of the new cooperation between species. "They all want the same thing," Reeves replied. "Protection from whatever might replace the Xaltorian Empire, and access to our technology." "And what do we want in return?" Hayes asked. Reeves smiled. "Peace. Trade. A galaxy where first contact doesn't end in destruction." On Earth, in the newly constructed Conclave Embassy in Geneva, Commander Eric Boyd stood at a large window overlooking the city. His uniform now bore the rank of admiral, though he had refused command of the growing human fleet. Instead, he served as Earth's military attaché to the Conclave. "The Xaltorian territories have been divided, as you suggested," said Athena, whose consciousness now existed beyond the Vengeance, helping coordinate Earth's defenses. Her holographic form stood beside Boyd, appearing as a woman in a simple blue uniform. "The smaller species have formed 3 new alliances, each with Earth as a defensive partner." Boyd nodded. "And VK Thar, found guilty by the Conclave Tribunal. He will spend the rest of his life in isolation on a prison moon." Boyd stared at the distant mountains. "Was it worth it, Athena? All the destruction, just to make our point?" "You targeted military installations only," Athena reminded him. "Civilian casualties were minimal, and the alternative was allowing the Xaltorians to convince the galaxy that humans were the aggressors." In orbit around Mars, massive shipyards floated in space. Workers in environmental suits moved around the skeleton of a new vessel, larger than even the Vengeance class. But this ship was different. Its design focused on exploration and science rather than war. Admiral Powell floated beside the project manager, both in zero-gravity suits, as they inspected the construction. "The UEF Discovery will be ready in 6 months, the manager said proudly. "Our first dedicated long-range exploration vessel." Powell smiled. "Good. We've proven we can defend ourselves. Now it's time to show the galaxy what humans are really about." Back on the Horizon II, Captain Reeves prepared to beam down to New Harmony for the diplomatic reception. Before leaving, he stopped at a memorial wall near the bridge. On it were the names of all 327 crew members lost on the original Horizon. He placed his hand on the wall briefly. "We made it right," he said softly. "Your sacrifice wasn't forgotten." As Reeves led his mixed crew of humans and aliens to the transporter room, a young ensign asked him a question. "Sir, do you think there are other species out there, beyond Conclave space? Species we haven't met yet?" Reeves nodded. "Almost certainly. And next time, we'll be ready for first contact. We'll be armed, yes. The galaxy has taught us that lesson. But we'll still come in peace." As the UEF Horizon I orbited the planet below, its message to the galaxy was clear. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage. They had been underestimated, attacked, and nearly destroyed. But they had survived, adapted, and ultimately thrived. The galaxy had not been ready for humans. Now, they never needed to be ready again, because humans were here to stay.